her eyes wide with terror as she pats Chika's thick braids. A human eye blinks back at her from the back of Chika's head. What? What is this? You shouldn't have touched my hair. When city girl Amaka moves to Ugwuta village, her magical braids make her a star, but also awaken something ancient, jealous, and cursed. One wrong touch, and she's plunged into a nightmarish world of trials, bleeding scalps, living hair, and a dryer that burns memories. Will she survive, or will the eye take more than just her sight? If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell so you never miss a single twist in our chilling tales. Now, let's dive into the chilling story. When Amaka stepped off the rusty bus into Ugwuta village, the thick scent of red dust and bush smoke clung to her lungs. Her green box bounced behind her as she dragged it through the narrow lane leading to her auntie Ngozi's compound. She wore a faded hoodie and tight jeans, but her walk, confident, like someone who had lived in Lagos, made her stand out immediately. City girl, don't lend, some children whispered from behind a cluster of banana trees. Auntie Ngozi was kind, though strict. She welcomed Amaka with a hug, a bowl of yam porridge, and a warning. Here, you must behave yourself, no forming, no big girl drama, just read your book and keep quiet. Amaka nodded, but deep inside, she wasn't here to keep quiet. She had plans. She had fire in her fingers. School resumed the next Monday. Ugwuta Community Secondary School stood crooked behind cracked walls and a rusting gate. The classrooms had no fans. The chalk squeaked like rats. But none of that scared Amaka. What scared her was the way people stared, especially one girl with long arms and a hard face, Chika. On the third day during break, Amaka sat on a bench under the big mango tree. She undid her friend Adaeze's hair and began to braid. Wow, Adaeze gasped as Amaka's fingers moved quickly, weaving the parts clean and the cornrows tight. You really learned this in Lagos? Of course, Amaka smiled. I used to charge 2,000 naira per head. Within minutes, a small crowd had gathered. Girls clapped, snapped selfies, and begged for their turn. Please, just do mine next, just one line. That afternoon, she braided 4 heads. By the end of the week, Amaka's name was everywhere. Teachers whispered about her talent. Senior girls offered her puff-puff in exchange for braids. Even a local woman once called her the girl with the golden hands. But not everyone was pleased. Chika had always been the braid boss in Ugwuta. Her braids were thick, fast, but often painful. Before Amaka came, girls endured her rough hands in silence. But now they flocked to Amaka. At first, Chika said nothing, but her eyes, always watching. One Thursday, during prep, Chika approached her desk. You're really good, Amaka, she said with a smile that didn't touch her eyes. I've been watching. Everyone talks about your braiding. Will you do mine? Amaka blinked. Me? You want me to braid your hair? Chika chuckled. Yes, now. I want to feel this magic touch myself. Something inside Amaka hesitated. Chika had never spoken to her before, not even a hello. But to say no would be rude. So she smiled back. Okay, sit down. They pushed their desk to the side. Chika sat with her back to Amaka. Her hair was thick, full, and strangely stiff. Amaka dipped her comb in edge control and began to part the center. Then she froze. The parting didn't feel normal. There was something solid. She parted again, slowly. Suddenly, she dropped the comb and stumbled backward. Ah! She gasped, staring in horror. Deep inside the middle of Chika's scalp was something impossible. A human eye, bloodshot, open, blinking, and staring straight at her. Amaka screamed. She didn't mean to. The sound ripped out of her like lightning splitting a tree. The classroom echoed with it, but no one moved. No one was there. The desks had vanished. The window shutters were missing. The walls were scorched black, like something had burned the room from the inside out. Amaka blinked rapidly, trying to clear her vision, but everything had gone dark. "Hello," she called out, breath quickening. "Adais, Muna?" Only silence answered her. Then a voice, low, hollow, ancient. "You touched the eye." Amaka spun around. Nothing, just shadows. "You saw what was hidden. Now you must pay the price." "What? What price?" she whispered. "Sight for sight." Amaka stumbled back, her hands shaking. She couldn't see. Her heart thundered in her chest. Her braiding fingers, the ones everyone called golden, were useless in the dark. Then, without warning, she was somewhere else. A stool sat beneath her. A mannequin head rested before her on a wooden table. The room smelled of sweat and rot. Cracked mirrors lined the walls. Cobwebs danced above her. And in the mannequin's hair, beads. Beads fused with knots. Braids twisted into claws. Something moved in the hair. Worms. A voice thundered again. Trial 1. Detangle the living hair. If it screams, you have failed. If it smiles, you may continue. Amaka wiped her palms on her skirt. "I can do this," she muttered. She reached for the comb, but the moment she tugged, the mannequin shrieked. The sound wasn't human. It was raw, painful. Amaka flinched. "Sorry," she whispered. "I'm sorry." She dropped the comb and used her hands instead. Slowly, gently, each knot untangled with her fingers, moving like whispers. She hummed softly, a lullaby her mother used to sing, and then, suddenly, the mannequin smiled. Trial 1 passed, the voice boomed. She didn't have time to breathe before the walls spun again. Now she was in the school bathroom. The mirrors were shattered. The sink beneath her was black porcelain. A new mannequin head sat in it. The instructions came fast. Trial 2. Wash the filth. You must not throw up, you must not spit, or you fail. Amaka took a deep breath and turned on the tap. Blood gushed out. Thick, dark, warm. The smell hit her first, like old meat left under the sun. She gagged, hand flying to her mouth, but she didn't let it out. She dropped to her knees and started washing the hair. Maggots slithered between the strands. She felt something soft between the roots. It was a tooth. Her stomach twisted. She squeezed her eyes shut. "I can't fail," she whispered, scrubbing harder. "I won't." She rinsed. She combed. The blood stopped. The sink emptied. The voice returned. Trial 2 passed. Amaka fell back, sobbing with relief. But before she could even catch her breath, the world changed again. Now she stood before a tall girl with glowing red braids and white chalk fingernails. She was chewing air, popping invisible gum. "Trial 3, the voice said. "Make her beautiful, but do not speak. If you talk, you fail." The demon girl flipped her hair dramatically. "I beg no bend my scalp, oh," she said, crossing her legs like a fashion model. "You this small girl, you sure say you sabi?" Amaka didn't answer. She dipped her brush into the relaxer bowl. The girl leaned in. "See me see demon. You go dey form fine girl when your edge no even lay." The insult stung, but Amaka kept quiet. The girl hissed, mocked her accent, even said things about her dead father. Amaka's hand trembled, but she stayed silent. And after minutes that felt like hours, the demon finally rolled her eyes and turned away. Trial 3 passed, the voice said again. Amaka collapsed to her knees, but the hardest trial was yet to come. Amaka sat in silence, her body trembling. Sweat clung to her skin. Her school uniform was torn and damp. Her fingers sore from combing, scrubbing, and holding back tears. Then the floor cracked beneath her. Before she could scream, she fell, spinning through darkness like she'd been flushed through the sky. She landed on a cold stool. A giant, rusty hairdryer hovered over her head. The voice returned, slow and stern. Trial 4. The dryer of painful memories. Do not cry. If a tear falls, you fail. The dryer roared to life. First came the heat, sharp, searing waves that pressed into her scalp. Then, images, her mother and father holding her hand as a child, a happy meal of okra soup and laughter. Suddenly, the car crash, shattered glass, screams, blood. Amaka flinched. No. Then her stepfather, the way he looked at her after her parents died. His heavy footsteps in the hallway, the way she covered herself with a wrapper and prayed he'd go away. The pregnancy test, the hospital, her aunt's shame. Amaka clenched her fists, biting down hard on her bottom lip. I won't cry, she whispered. She saw herself alone on the streets of Lagos, braiding hair by torchlight, begging rich women for tips. She saw the nights she was robbed, the nights she slept hungry. But the worst memory came last, her mother's voice the day she died. Amaka, never let the darkness take your light. A tear welled in her eye. She blinked furiously. The dryer shut off. She gasped. Trial 4 passed. Before she could breathe, she was pulled into the final space, a shadowy version of her classroom, but twisted. The walls melted, and from them stepped Chika. Only, it wasn't really her. Her skin was cracked like clay. Her eyes glowed white. Her voice sounded like thunder trapped in a cave. You've passed my trials, Chika snarled, but no one touches the eye and lives. Invisible hands grabbed Amaka's throat. She choked, kicking and clawing at the air. Die, or be blind forever. Amaka couldn't scream. She was fading. Her fingers trembled at her side, brushing against something in her pocket, a tiny, rusted hairpin. Her mother's old pin. Then she heard the voice again. You carry fire, my child. Use it. In one motion, Amaka pricked her palm with the pin. Her blood dripped onto her hair. She ripped a strand free and began to braid it with her bleeding fingers. The braid glowed red. No, Chika screamed. No one has ever survived the eye. Amaka charged, slamming the glowing braid into the middle of Chika's scalp, right where the eye blinked. A burst of light exploded, then silence. Amaka opened her eyes. She was lying on a sickbay bed. Her aunt held her hand, sobbing softly. Amaka, you're alive. Thank God, Auntie Ngozi whispered. But everything around her was still black. Why can't I see you? Amaka asked. Her aunt looked confused. But the lights are on, Amaka. The lights are on? Amaka gasped. She was blind. The spirit had taken her sight. Weeks passed. She told her story, everything, about the trials, about the eye in Chika's head, about how she won. The village was stunned. Elders gathered. Chika never returned to school. Some said her spirit had been carrying the curse of Eke, the spirit of vanity and jealousy. But Amaka broke it. Girls came from faraway schools just to feel her fingers braid. And though she could no longer see, her fingers worked better than ever. They called her Amaka the Brave Braider. Every year, the school held a ceremony in her honor. She would sit in the middle of the courtyard, Surrounded by laughter, music, and girls she once feared she'd never see again. And as they sat under her hands, they would whisper to each other, "She might not see, but she sees more than all of us."